In this video, I will be sharing with you what is the advantage of using this brush. So first of all, it's the shape of this brush. It's an angular brush, so one side is shorter and the other side is longer. You want to take advantage of the shape and use it for your painting because it can help you to paint a lot of things faster and much easier. The paper is wet now, and I'm using the full shape of this brush just as I would be painting with a flat brush, for example. So just painting first parts of my background, and the whole paper is wet, so I can do this wet on wet right now. So I'm pre-mixing some of the colors and just using this brush as if it was a flat brush, because that's one of the advantages of having this brush. So you can use it to wet it, to apply first layer of the background. And I'm kind of flipping this brush, turning it a little bit. I'm using the longer part to paint some of these clouds. So now I'm using that pointy part, the longer part, the side of the brush, almost like a round brush. Another advantage of having this brush, you can complete the entire painting with just this one brush. The way you're holding it makes a huge difference. So now I kind of flipped that brush. I am using again the longer part of the brush to create some of these lines on the water, and then again going back to that side that's longer of the brush to paint the clouds. I'm using it as if I was painting with a round brush. So that longer side works almost as a smaller brush, so I can create smaller clouds. And now I'm creating some of these lines. So to create the lines, I can use that longer side of this angular shader brush, or I can position my brush so it's kind of like flat, but I'm using that line of the top of the brush as almost like my liner too. So I can do that as well. So I'm just adding different colors now for the background, and because I'm painting a landscape and this is a water and then we have the sky, some of those colors will reflect on the bottom of the page, which is the water. But it's all about how you're using this brush and how you're holding it. Whenever you hold the brush closer to its head, you always have more control. Whenever you paint, you hold the brush towards the end of that handle, it's always more looser. So you create looser strokes and you have a little less control. So it depends what you're painting, if you want random strokes and so on. Right now, I'm using the fullness of this brush in a way as if I was painting with a flat brush. I am showing here how I can use that angle again of the brush. So it's that pointy part that works almost like a round brush, the way you can angle it and how you can hold it. So it's that pointy part. I will position this brush so it works almost as a liner because I will be painting that horizon line. So I am using the pointy part first of that brush, but then I will be using the fullness of that brush, but the liner part. So it's like you're looking at the brush from the top. It will be just a line, straight line, and a thin line because your brush will be flattened. So it's just about like how you want to use this brush, what side you want to use, because every piece of this brush can like work as different brush. So it's such a versatile brush. I used to paint with just angular brush pretty much all the time because I could do so much. That's when I was painting a lot of landscapes. And again, I'm starting with the longer side on the left side of that brush. That's how I positioned it, and the shorter side is on the right side because I want to use longer part as my pointer. Like that's how I'm going to start that line. And now I'm using the fullness of this brush to cover more area, and then painting those lines on the water. I'm using that pointier part of the brush to create some lines on the water. I'm painting the rock now again, and I am using that pointier part of the brush so I can cover the rest of that rock. So, and now I position this brush so I can kind of drag the paint to the right side. And now a little more of those darker colors because I will be painting parts of that beach, and I will start first from the left side, and so I need to have enough of those darker colors, and now using again a side first of that brush and then going for that angle part, the angle. So it's easier for me to control this way, more like of that brush now, because I'm painting more of that beach. And especially if you position it so the top part you use like a pointer, that's going to be your pointer. I am shaping it, so I'm creating that line on the top, and then with the rest of that brush I'm filling the background. I'm filling in to paint that beach. So that's why it's like faster to do it this way, and it's more effective at the same time, because also the line is nicer and the paper is drying fast. So that's the advantage of using this brush at once, just doing all this. So as you see, I was able to paint the sky, I was able to paint with this brush the water, then I was able to paint parts of that beach, the rocks. And so you can do so much with just one brush like this. Whenever it's an angular brush, this is an Aqua Elite and the size is 1/2. And now using that pointy part again, the longer side of this brush, I'm creating those lines. So whenever you have a little less water mixed in with your paint, you will have more control over these lines too. If I had too much water, I wouldn't have these nice lines. It would just be all like dispersing too much. And then covering more of the back of that seawater just to make it a little more darker, because it is an evening landscape. And now grabbing a little more paint because I want to add a little more to this beach. So again, I'm working this brush now as if I was painting with a round brush. And now I'm wetting this brush because I want to use it to lift up the paint. So to lift up the paint, you want to dip your brush in water, wipe it really well on a towel, and make sure that brush is flat so you can drag it over on the paper and the area is still somewhat wet. So it just depends at what stage you're lifting up. But as you see, I was able to add more highlight there, more light in there, in between these lines on the sea. So just using the flatness of this brush, I can also lift up the paint. So thank you so much for watching this.